Good morning and welcome to Lake Country Unitarian Universalist Church on this fine, amazing fall day. My name is John Kuhn and I'm happy to be your worship leader this week. Some of us are bringing our best selves to this space and some of us are bringing our struggling selves. All of us are welcome here and all of us are loved. All of us are imperfect, but we're here to drop our defenses, trust that whatever happens in this space is powerful and life-giving. Together, we affirm that this day and our being together can make each of us braver, more compassionate, and wiser than when we woke up this morning. We welcome you here.
I'm hesitant to share the words that I have on this page because I was reminded during our Joys and Concerns section that the things that I know are happening in the world are actually happening here. And I am hopeful that my words do not add more fear or more concern to someone or some people in this room. And if they do, I just want to offer you a promise that the rest of the sermon is the antidote. So I trust that we will hold you through this. A friend of mine shared a video yesterday. He was on vacation. Like anyone on vacation, he had his phone close by, hoping to catch a memory or two of his time away from the challenges of the world. An ice raid happened right in front of him. A car was surrounded at a light. A man was pulled out of the car. There appeared to be the rest of a family unit in that car. But the men in the masks came and pulled him out of that car. And the thing that I will never forget, having watched that video, were his screams. I don't think I've ever heard more pure terror and grief. The sound was guttural. This man, whoever he was, whatever he may have done, if anything at all, will remain in my prayers. This is not what I am used to seeing. Witnessing something like this can be scary. And we are entering a phase of history that most of us have never experienced. And I say most, but not all. Because this is a community filled with people, some of whom who have lived through challenging stretches, both personal and political. And we are a part of a larger faith that is filled with even more people that have lived through different trials and tribulations. It is faith with a history and a memory. We have been gifted wisdom from those that came before. And as my friend Toshi Regan reminded me earlier this year, we've been through this before, and we're still here. So this is where I place my faith. So I may be concerned, but I am not scared. Because I know that I never have to face the hard times alone, because I am a Unitarian Universalist. And my faith has prepared me for difficult times. These times we're living in are really giving me some perspective. I'm especially getting perspective of the role that religion can play in our lives. I'm beginning to realize that during easier times, the role of religion is really to just keep the embers lit. There are always challenges. There are always going to be human foibles that provide fodder for us to push against. Climate change, inequality, the haves versus the have-nots. Lessons shared that help us overcome self-doubt and shame that have helped us live into our potential. And I used to think that that was enough. But I'm beginning to realize that religion plays a far more important role when things get really hard. That ember that our ancestors kept lit and those of you in this room have kept lit and kept trying to improve during the easier times, ensured that that light was there for us when times got really hard, like they appear that they might be becoming now. Religion can become the light that guides our way if times get really dark. Many folks in this room already know this from personal experience. I know that some individuals have found yourselves in very dark places. Those folks that have found themselves in dark places and have found their way out have often relied on some form of wisdom, often grounded in some sort of spiritual healing that has provided the light that helped them find their way out of the darkness. My faith strengthens me through hard times because I know that my life is not my own. It is part of a larger story. And that story offers all of the lessons I need to survive, no matter what storms begin to swirl around me. We are, adherents of this faith are, part of a lineage whose history dates back over 4,000 years. This is a faith whose roots can be traced back to Judaism. There are folks in this community whose direct lineage is Judaism. Our friends from this lineage are currently practicing the historic lessons passed down through the annual practices of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, a time marked by reflection of actions taken over the past year, leading to work of atonement for the times when their actions fell short of their intentions. A Jewish friend once told me that there were really only two unforgivable sins in Judaism: to have caused a death and to have gossiped. The rationale here is that these are the only two things that can't be repaired. The dead have no recourse, and once gossip has been spread, even if disproved, a person's honor has been called into question, and that honor can never be fully restored. These are the types of lessons that are needed to create a healthy community. A rabbi's role in synagogue is often to deliver the hard messages that a victim should not have to shoulder, to make sure that someone in the community that has committed a transgression is challenged and is compelled to do the work of repentance and repair. These are the lessons of covenant and community. These are foundational to our faith tradition because our ancestors knew that we are stronger in community. And we need the connections of strong, healthy community to survive the storms that come our way. Judaism has survived for 4,000 years, longer than the Greek and Roman empires combined. Through the Middle Ages, through the Dark Ages, through the Renaissance, through 2 world wars, through extermination attempts, through the 60s, through today. This faith, our faith, Unitarian Universalism, draws upon the lessons that faith has learned. But it also draws from more. The theme of today's sermon, the longing to something more, can actually be found in our democratically elevated value of interdependence. And this is a concept that originated in Buddhism, among other places. And these lessons were brought to the West and have been integrated into our ways of thinking. I truly do believe that we are all connected. That's what Buddhism told us. That's what science is telling us. I believe we are all connected as one. What happens to one happens to all. This is just an idea, but it's an idea that leads to peace if remembered and practiced. And the omission of this understanding can quickly lead to othering, which we are seeing all over the world. We see it in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. We see it in the ICE raids. We see it in our own community. Interdependence is a lesson we need to hold firm to if humanity is ever to find lasting peace. But there is so much more here in this faith, keeping us safe. Our ancestors from Greek antiquity through the rebellious nature of Christianity, through the kingdoms of the Middle Ages, have passed down lessons that have led to our stated value of pluralism. Pluralism is just about the importance of dispersing power. The lesson is that any one entity that has total power will always be corrupted, no matter where they started from. Pluralism teaches us that for power to remain pure, it needs the checks and balances of multiple perspectives. We here practice that lesson when we work together to simply do nothing more than maintain this church community. That work is all about shared leadership. That's what we're practicing here. Our equity value comes from lessons again honed during Greek, Roman, and British rule. Equity is grounded in the idea of fairness. Fairness in these lessons has resulted in the creation of policies and procedures and laws developed through democratic means designed to ensure a level playing field for all. Has that always happened? Absolutely not. Are there people like us who are continually looking for the places where those laws are not fair and need to be changed? Yes, that is the role of a citizen in democracy. Our faith holds a related value of justice. John Rawls once said, listen to this, "A just society is one that people would agree to if they didn't know their future places in it." Listen to that again. A just society is one that people would agree to even if they didn't know their future places in it. Finally, our faith has recently remembered to hold up the value of generosity, a tenet of nearly all faith traditions that have survived for any length of time. Pro-social behavior aligns with evolutionary biology. So, this religion, Unitarian Universalism, is a container that holds these ideas. The flame of our chalice is a symbol designed to remind us that we know the way. We know what we need to do. If we see things happening that appear to indicate that we are collectively forgetting our interconnection, or if we see that power is being centralized or that laws we created collectively are being skirted, if we see that we are collectively not being generous, these are our signs that let us know that we are headed collectively in the wrong direction. Which begs the question, what then shall we do? What are you called to do? Our Unitarian and Universalist histories are filled with heroes that met moments like the one we are in now with wisdom and courage and strength. We like to hold up folks like Francis David or Michael Servetus, who were willing to die for what they believed to be true. We hold up people like William Ellery Channing, who brought religion down from the heavens and placed the responsibility for our outcomes squarely on our own shoulders. We hold up our UU ancestors that fought for women's suffrage and equal rights and public education. It's nice to wrap ourselves up in the stories of the folks that led to these great transitions in thought and reality. But it's easy to forget that each of these people were surrounded by a community. Communities from which they drew the strength and resources they needed to move societies in the direction they could see it needed to turn. But we often forget that there were also folks in those communities who dissented. Most of the ideas that we hold as self-evident today were considered heresy when they were first being considered. To believe that our Unitarian Universalist ancestors were always collectively on what today would be considered the right side of history would be intentionally misguided. When women's rights were being debated, our churches were filled with folks that just thought it was a terrible idea. There were those that couldn't see the potential that different races could be equal. There were those that thought eugenics was a good idea not that long ago. But to say that those folks whose ideas have been cast aside were not important to our faith are forgetting the value of pluralism. It is the debates that happened with folks in our churches which strengthen those figures we admire today to be able to resist those ideas we now collectively tend to consider to be wrong-headed. Which brings us to today. Many of us who are watching the news see our world seeming to go in directions away from the lessons that our ancestors shared and that we have come to believe are the path to peace. Can you imagine a world where the opposite of our values became the norm? What if we lived in a world where the prevailing belief was that we are all separate and that we all just need to look out for ourselves and nobody else? A world where generosity was for suckers. A world where only the strong survive. Where the world is divided into the haves and the have-nots with little opportunity for changing that scenario. A place where laws are designed to maintain an order where the strong always get more and more and the weak are left only with scraps. We've seen that world in history. Sometimes we see that world in the present day in ourselves. It's not pretty. It always ends in war and death. My friends, I think we can see the world starting to head in that direction. But it doesn't have to be that way. What is our faith calling us to do at this moment in history? As a member of this faith, you are called to something larger. You are called to learn and practice the lessons that have been passed down to help keep yourself and your community healthy and strong. You are called to help those around you in need. You are called to ask for help if you need it. You are called to strengthen your spirit so that you have reserves available to tackle larger challenges if they come your way. And if you have capacity, you are called to share what you have found to be true. You are called to be curious and to learn how to develop relationships with others whose beliefs at first may seem a little different than yours. And you are called, if you have capacity, to fight against injustice. No single person in this room needs to face the challenges we can see in our world alone. You don't have to be Gandhi or MLK or Harvey Milk or anyone history will remember. As Unitarian Universalists, our shared job is to be the holder of ideas. Books can be burned, but ideas held by a people are far more difficult to eliminate. The latest edict from the top is to begin cracking down on anyone that holds ideas that challenge the currently entrenched power structures, which means that some of the beliefs that we share are now being directly targeted. Your presence in this faith, no matter what role you play, matters. You are a part of something more. You are the current iteration of a lineage that has survived and adapted for thousands of years. The time is now. The faith tradition you have chosen contains all that you need to weather the current storms. You are a part of something larger. You are the current keepers of a faith that centers love. And believe it or not, love always overcomes hate. It always has, and it always will. Our faith will be tested. Hold on to love no matter what. Love is our compass. It is our flame that lights our way. And you are the source of that love. Our collective love is the limitless power that can keep us safe. There's a song we sing that reminds us that there is a love holding us. When the storms rage, we can rest in that love. And as long as you are a part of this community, you never have to face the darkness alone. We've been through this before, and we are still here singing together. Beloveds, if you're anything like me, I wandered lost for many years of my life, and I am very glad that I've found this home. You give me strength, you give me courage, you give me lessons, and I couldn't do without you. For second hour, if you're new here, please join us for coffee and conversation in the social hall, which is around the way. About 15 minutes, I'll plop myself in the second classroom, and anybody has any questions or thoughts about today or anything you want to talk about, I'll be in there. I think October 19th, 3 weeks, we will actually be having a session in second hour led by myself and one of the board members to help newcomers and those who've been here that want to ask more questions learn a little bit more about what this faith tradition is all about and a little bit more of the history that we covered today. So put that on your calendar. But I'll be in classroom 2 if anybody has questions or wants to talk about anything going on in the world. Go in peace. Enjoy this beautiful day. Find the joy. That is where the strength lies. Be well.